Welcome to the first episode of my Black Ops 3 Humiliation Challenge Guide. In this episode, the Sticky Bomber Challenge. Earn 25 stick medals, which is to kill an enemy by sticking them with an explosive. The reward for this challenge is a calling card depicting a Semtex grenade that looks like a watermelon with Ghostbusters ooze dripping down. So the Semtex is a sticky grenade with a slightly shorter fuse than the frag grenade. A Semtex will stick to any surface or player that it contacts. A stick to another player is lethal, even to a player with flak jacket. You can even stick your own teammates and have them rush into a crowded area kamikaze style. It's easy to use, it has a fairly short detonation timer, and it has a predictable throwing arc with no roll like the frag grenade. With that said, chances are you're like me and are quite a few prestiges in but are lacking Semtex sticks. At Prestige 5 before starting this video, I was at 3 out of 25. Now the main obstacle in our way to achieving these 25 sticks is definitely the fast-paced movement that Black Ops 3 offers. Even if you have a somewhat stationary enemy right in front of your face, it's still very much possible to miss them with a Semtex throw. Couple in the sliding, the wall running, and the permanent sprinting in this game, and that makes pinpointing your throws harder than ever. So our number one goal is to slow our enemy down as much as possible, so that we can land a successful stick with the Semtex grenade. There's a few viable pieces of equipment or abilities that can help us accomplish this. However, of these, one shines far above the rest. But don't just take my word for it. Allow me to show you. First of all, the flashbang should be crossed off your list immediately. While it does muck up the view of your enemy quite a bit, it does nothing to mobility. You can still freely move about despite being blinded. So next up, the shock charge. While some may think this would be a good tactical item to freeze your opponent, it's actually not the greatest. Compared to Black Ops 2, the effect seems to have been lessened considerably. As you can see here, and being very lenient with the measurement techniques, it holds the enemy in check for about 2 seconds. Now that's not to say it couldn't assist you, as 2 seconds is still better than nothing, but it's not the best choice. Another issue that arises is that you must wait until level 35 to unlock it. One notch above the shock charge is Firebreak's Heatwave. Heatwave projects a burning sphere around Firebreak, causing any enemies that come into range to suffer from both blurred vision and limited mobility. And this is a perfect complement to the Sticky Grenade challenge, but let's see how effective it truly is. So from the initial blast of heat until the enemy is able to move normally again, he's held in check for 2.7 seconds. That's better than the shock charge, but not by a lot. Again, this ability is extremely restrictive due to the very high level unlock at level 46. Most people probably wouldn't burn a permanent lock on this ability either. That leaves us with one more piece of equipment, and it just so happens to be the best at what we're striving to achieve, and that's the concussion grenade. These grenades will stagger any target in the blast radius, severely impairing their ability to move. The blast also causes a disorientating flash, though not quite on the level of the actual flashbang grenade. Concussion hits make it almost impossible to turn while afflicted by the blast, which means they're easy targets for chucking the Semtex grenades at. So I measured from when the player is initially hit by the concussion blast until his character animation recovered, and it was a whopping 4.683 seconds. That's over double the effectiveness of shock charges and the Heatwave ability. So this clearly is the piece of equipment we want to utilize for this challenge. Not to mention it's unlocked right off the bat. So the tactics are simple, provided you play the right game mode and use the correct loadout. So let's cover the loadout first. The weapon of choice really doesn't matter since we're not focused on gun kills. This class that I'm recommending does not allow any attachments, so pick a gun that you're comfortable with no attachments, like a shotgun. I played around with 2 Semtex grenades versus 1, but more often than not I'd regret only taking 1, especially if I missed on the first throw. So with that said, run 2 Semtex grenades and 2 concussion grenades. As you'll see later, this leaves a lot of room for error. While it's not 100% required, I highly suggest running Scavenger. Being able to resupply all 4 of these grenades should you miss is invaluable. The 2 other required perks are Tactical Mask and Gung Ho. Tac Mask is a lifesaver in that you can toss your own concussion grenades at any distance and not have to worry about the consequences. For example, you can be at point blank in the blast radius and still have no ill effects. Tactical Mask completely counters the concussion grenades. Now Gung Ho, on the other hand, is essential for being able to sprint while prepping either the concussion or the Semtex grenades. Without Gung Ho, you can only walk while having a prep grenade, which is thoroughly frustrating. Lastly, as we discussed, you'll want Firebreak's Heatwave ability as a specialist option. If you don't have this unlocked yet, I found that kinetic armor is a decent replacement, since it'll let you absorb a few more bullets while you're lining up your throw. For game mode, I highly recommend playing the free-for-all mode. It's a lot easier to achieve 1 versus 1 battles in free-for-all mode without having to worry about multiple teammates ganking your kills. I know I've said this before and received some flack for it, but I still maintain that free-for-all has a strange player base of people that may or may not know what they're doing. So you'll want to sprint around with your concussion grenades cocked. As soon as you see someone, chuck both your concussion grenades at them. What happens next can determine how easy it'll be to land the Semtex stick. There were 2 scenarios I encountered most of the time. The first scenario is ideal in that the enemy has no idea what the F to do. They just stand there like a wissy-tailed wigwag, not realizing what just happened to them. If you get one of these players, you'll have no problem successfully sticking them with the Semtex. Scenario 2, on the other hand, is what I call hit the deck. As soon as you concuss them, they'll instantly drop prone. You may get caught off guard by this at first, since it'll cause your Semtex to overshoot your target. If you see this common evasive maneuver a lot, you can start to anticipate it, and then be on guard to throw your Semtex at the floor. I need to make note that you only need to stick someone with the grenade. You don't actually have to get the explosive kill. As you can see here, I'm rewarded the Sticky Bomber 2 notification as soon as the stick hits, indicating that you only need to stick them, not get the kill. If you do have Heatwave equipped, it can be an extremely useful complement to your concussions, especially if you're out of grenades altogether and can't find any scavenger packs. While it doesn't immobilize your enemies quite as long as concussion grenades, it will limit them just enough to make them an easy target. You can also use it in addition to your 2 concussion grenades, which will likely extremely limit your enemy's movement. 2 concussions followed by a Heatwave will render anyone pretty much useless. I should mention that while concussion grenades can be countered by the TacMask perk, the Heatwave ability cannot. Lining up your throws with the Semtex is no easy task, but don't be discouraged if you miss. A lot. I missed on so many occasions where my target was not moving at all. So even though you may accomplish slowing down your enemy to a standstill, that doesn't mean it's a guaranteed stick. Some of my misses were completely embarrassing. You know it's pretty bad when you land 2 concussion grenades and your Heatwave ability, but still miss with both your Semtex grenades. The number 1 tip I can give you for this challenge is not to worry about your KD ratio. You only need 25 sticks, remember. I was consistently getting 6 or more sticks in a single game. That's only about 5 games total to complete this challenge. In fact, I did it in 3 games myself, and that's solely using this class and these tactics. But at the same time, I dedicated the entire game to the challenge itself. I normally have a 2.09 KD in free-for-all mode, but during these 3 games, I was just around a 1 overall, which indicates how many times you'll probably die. You'll want to only use your gun if you absolutely need to, such as if you're out of all your grenades. The more you focus on the challenge, the faster you'll get it done. Don't be discouraged if you kill yourself accidentally either. I must have ran into my own botched Semtex at least 10 times. You'll also probably find yourself dying after successfully sticking enemies as well. This is normal and expected. Just think of it as an added bonus. You'll get a Revenge Medal and an Afterlife Medal, which are 2 other humiliation challenges. And that's about all there is to it. You'll want to utilize a class with 2 concussions, 2 Semtex grenades, Scavenger, Gung Ho, and TacMask. Then play free-for-all mode and engage in as many 1 versus 1 gunfights as you can. Stun your enemies twice with the concussion grenades, anticipate their reaction, and line up a successful Semtex stick. You can couple in Firebreak's Heatwave to add an additional stun to your arsenal. With a little practice as well as luck, you should achieve at least 6 or more sticks per game. Since you only need 25 to complete this challenge, this strategy should have you finishing in no time flat. In my opinion, there's no sweeter sound in Call of Duty than the sickening thud you receive when you successfully stick an enemy with a Semtex grenade.